we are. And we are here. I'm Mark David Smith, and this show, Let Us Reason Together, is based on Isaiah 1:18, which says, "Come now and let us reason together, says the Lord. Though your sins are as scarlet, they will be as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they will be like wool." Let me ask you something there. Do you recognize the world anymore? Is it flat? Is it round? Is it flat and round? Maybe like a tortilla made in Guatemala and then shipped to the States in the back of a 76 Dodge pickup? Well, it's flat and it's round. So, yeah, maybe the world is like that. This is just one of thousands of theories that have surfaced in the past 70 years. On this week's episode of Let Us Reason Together, Rabbi David Weiss, man of God, Larry Segeri, and me, Mark David Smith, are going to continue our journey through the last 70 years of our lives and the changes we've seen through those 70 years. Some call us adorable. Some call us gator bait. And another of my personal favorites are blue hairs. But we are really just three old guys who've lived most of those 70 years serving the one and only true God, the God of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, that's us. Yep. Yep. Well, on our last show, we shared several aspects of what we remember of the last 70 years. Mostly, we talked about the 9/11 attacks in 2001 and kind of the difference in different world things that have happened to us in the past 70 years. And so we're going to kind of switch up a little bit. And by the way, this is our 7th show on talking about the last 70 years.
Really?
And yeah, and I don't know about you guys. I really enjoy doing this. I enjoy talking about these things and bringing them back to Torah and remembering different things and that kind of stuff. But the next topic on my list was about the rise of drugs that have happened in the past 70 years. Have you guys ever done any illegal drugs?
Who's listening?
No? Okay. Well, I wouldn't think either one of you guys have. I'll be glad to I have in the long past, done my share of whatever came in front of me. Sure, I'll try that. I mean, you can probably tell just by my personality that I am, I'm a wild thing, I think they call my type of person. So seriously, you guys did you ever what do they call it? Experiment? Clinton did.
Mostly I just, in my college years, not so much in my high school years because it didn't really come in, but in my college years, I just smoked a lot of weed and marijuana, for those that don't know. But, and maybe after college, it really kind of died off, mostly because it was hard to get and I didn't want to get arrested. And so it kind of died off and it didn't really matter a whole lot. Experimented with a few other things, but I didn't really like them and I didn't like the way they make me feel. And so I didn't do any more. But today it's really ironic that you even mention it, because a new long-term report came out, and I think it might have been from Sweden or one of the Scandinavian countries, which are generally pretty liberal. And they said that a long-term study with teenagers noted there was a 20 to 30% greater correlation of psychosis and neurosis that came with kids that started smoking pot
Mm.
um, earlier in their life. Like when you have today's middle school kids doing it,
Mm.
keep doing it, there's, like I said, there's a 20 or 30, 20 to 30% increase in correlation of increase in psychosis among those groups. And that's pretty sad, you know. And that's just for smoking pot, let
Yeah.
alone what we have going on with fentanyl. I don't know if kids do cocaine anymore, but then there was a time they were doing crack, and then now today fentanyl and pills, and it's just really dangerous, you know. And it's, you know, I'm scared for the generation coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's newer and heavier, everything newer and heavier anymore.
Yeah.
But you know, and I don't want to like offend anybody who might have dealt with obesity, but now you've got the idea of, you know, Botox for cosmetics, and then you have the Ozempics, you know, for people that want to lose weight.
Yeah.
And I mean, has there been long-term studies on this stuff? I don't know, but you know, there's the people today. There's a lot of drugs they do, and it's really not just, you know, it's not just for getting high. It can also be for cosmetic reasons as well. And so, you know, that's another thing to think about, what it's becoming.
What you're talking about though is like those are legal drugs as long as you're prescribed to them, and people get addicted to them. Addicted to using them. What I have found that heroin, hallucinogens, and analgesic pain relievers are the only drugs that have a cumulative increase in use. Analgesic pain relievers have been the most used drug over the past 3 decades. And you know, oxycodone, whatever, has been prescribed,
Yeah.
you know, quite a bit. And you know, we all have heard the stories of how crazy things. A matter of fact, I just took oxycodone a couple of days ago. You know, because I have an ear surgery, and past couple of days have just been horrible on pain. But I mean, I got I'll just tell you, I'm wide open to this. Is I had surgery in November, and it's now March, the 1st of March. And they gave me 10 oxycodone back in November of last year, and I still have 4 left. You know, so it's not like I just took them all. You know, to me, that's being addicted to it. I don't like them. They send me off into never land. And you know, like Larry and I were talking about before, they don't actually take the pain away. They just make you feel like you just, oh yeah, pain, yeah, okay, yeah, I think it's there. Yeah, you know,
So
don't
they kind
really
of dull
care
the pain,
about
I
that,
guess.
yeah. You know, but oh my gosh, it's pain relievers that have been the worst, and mostly because they're prescribed right here without being, you know, I mean, they're illegal without a prescription. But
Look, I
got way off track.
think 95% of your doctors, probably more, maybe 98, 99%, are reputable and know that they're not going to give you more than a month's worth of
Right.
pain of opiate prescriptions,
Right.
because it would, you know, it would lead to long-term addiction, which they don't want to get. And when people really like the feeling of dulling pain, and I won't discount their pain, because people that have neuropathy, just, it feels like stinging and needles all the time. And if they can't get it from a doctor, they're just going to get it on the street, which is very, very sad.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I feel for the people that have chronic pain, and, you know, I don't know what else they can do.
Yeah. Well, we can make it through it. I don't know how many times I've said, well, it's okay. I'm a man. I can handle it, but it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Larry, go ahead.
I was thinking about what the development has been. Like during the 50s, you hardly heard about like marijuana or any of the other drugs.
Reefer madness.
Gateway drugs. But during the mid 60s, it became an awareness thing. Then as the 60s went on, it became part of the pop culture. And if you weren't part of the pop culture, you were like an outcast. So, my experience with marijuana was it was a social thing. And when I wasn't with that social groups, it's like, I don't need it. Don't. But a lot of my friends couldn't get away from it, even when they were out of their social contacts. They just had to have it. Now, I know a lot of Vietnam vets that I know have used marijuana in order to overcome their experiences in Vietnam. And I have no problem with that. But simply as a recreational thing, I had problems with that. I was the most paranoid when I took marijuana. I was the most careful driver, making sure that I wasn't stopped. And really, it all stopped when I became a teacher, because I knew the consequences of me being found out. And every time I used to, still when I go to social events and people are doing it, it's like, well, you're not a teacher anymore. Why don't you do it? It's like, well, I kind of outgrown it,
Good way to look at it.
Yeah.
There's two other types of drugs that we find. I mean, like, look, how long have kids been getting drunk? I mean, we can't forget alcohol.
Yeah,
that's right.
And it may not be as harmful, but but kids die from binge drinking.
Sure.
Then you have kids who develop a habit and become cirrhosis of the liver, and not to mention deaths due to drunk driving. And so alcohol may really be a much more pervasive and harmful drug overall than anything else. Then you got a whole group of teenagers today that want to enhance their physical appearance and maybe sporting performance, and then they're just getting juiced, and they feel like, hey, my stars, my idols are doing it. They seem to be fine. Why can't I? Shoot up with, I don't even know what they do. I don't know what the growth hormones are, but we hear about it in sports, and that's dangerous too, a different way.
Steroids.
Yeah, steroids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, some other drugs, amphetamines and cocaine, crack, LSD, opium. I did a little bit of research here, and amphetamines is it says the earliest references to the practice of injecting amphetamines occurred during the 1950s. It was around before then, but after people started injecting it, it became a bigger drug and became more popular. Cocaine's been around forever. We all know that. But as soon as crack cocaine appeared in 1985, regular use of cocaine just plummeted from what I saw, because they smoked it. When they find different ways to make them get higher faster, that's when things start changing and people find out about it and they start doing it more. LSD's been around for a long time, but in the 50s, they researched LSD as a possible truth drug, which could be used for brainwashing or inducing prisoners to talk. I think we've all seen documentaries on different things that they used LSD for. Cannabis has, of course, has been around forever, but it says in the 1950s, the beatniks appropriated the use of marijuana from the black hipsters, and the drug moved into middle-class white America. My brother was a beatnik and I was a hippie, so
there's terms for you.
Yeah, there you go. That's just how those were. Of course, opium's been around forever, but so Chinese workers who came to work on the U.S. railroads in the 50s and 60s brought them the practice of opium smoking. So once again, it seems to me like, as I kind of research this a little bit, that a lot of drugs have been around for a long time, but when they change the application of using the drug, it seems to expand even more. So, wow.
With the Chinese, that was the 1850s and 1860s.
I'm sorry, it does say 1850. You're absolutely right. I just copied and pasted, and you're absolutely right. Very good. The 1950s and 60s, I think we already had those railroads.
Yeah.
Okay, forget my last deal on opium. It's right there in front of my face. I can't believe it.
I'm thinking about Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
How the origin of Coca-Cola is you had cocaine in it, and it was prescribed as a drink that would be refreshing and something that you'd like to experience.
Definitely a pick-me-up.
Yeah.
But in small amounts, I guess it's a stimulant like caffeine. But I think when Coke realized this, unlike cigarettes, where the manufacturers have always put in addictive chemicals until I think the 1970s, with Coca-Cola, I believe the practice stopped. I think it was maybe in the 1930s, somewhere around there, give or take 10 years. I think they stopped putting a little bit of coca in there.
I was trying to find, I had this up here, and now I can't find it because I shut it down. But there was a big, long deal about the Coca-Cola and all that, but I can't find it now. But you're right. I mean, in the past 70 years, it's just been crazy. And of course, now the newest drug, fentanyl, is the war on fentanyl, and what we're seeing and what Trump is trying to do to get it taken care of is vital, I think, in trying to get everything stopped. And I think it's down. So I don't know. All kinds of drug stats. Go ahead.
Fentanyl is like a killer drug. And that's the problem with it. It's not like a recreational drug. It's really out to kill people, and it's being laced into all kinds of other drugs, and without anybody knowing it. And that's the problem with it. When you don't know it, and you don't know how much of it is in the drug that you're taking, you have tragic overdoses and people not knowing that they're doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know why they put anything that might kill people in it, because then you cut off the very one who's making you money.
Yeah.
It seems like maybe they do it to spread something out. I can't imagine they do it to want to kill people, maybe thinking, let's put in some inert substance, what's the purpose of killing people if you're losing your source of money?
Well,
I'm just thinking
you,
economic.
you have to follow the money.
Yeah. Well, the money goes all the way back to China, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. But it's not so much, I don't think the drug is made to kill people as though it's really strong and it doesn't take much to kill somebody. That's why they cut it down
I see.
usually before they sell it. And what happens is the people that get it in the pure form, they cut it down, but then sometimes the pure form gets out there and people don't realize all it takes is 1 grain of it or whatever to kill you, and it's not cut down and people don't know the strength of what they're taking. And I don't think it's so much that they want to kill people, it's just that they don't cut it enough or somebody gets the pure product. And
Yeah. And it's mixing it with other things too. I mean, you look at what happened to Whitney Houston and the guy from Matt, somebody from Friends, I think his name was, and even our musical stars that all died at 27, like Hendrix and and Jim Morrison and whatever the girl's name was. Yeah, Joplin. And the kids today, they just don't understand that there's risk when you mix stuff as well and just take amounts that, I mean, it's not even regulated. So,
well, I think we have to look at a question. What are these drugs providing for people that they want to experiment, that they want to be involved with drugs? What is that thing that's driving them to do that? So that it has increased in the amount of people that do it.
I think there's two main things they want. Sometimes they want to feel nothing because they just want to get numb. And the other time they want to feel something because in life they're not feeling anything. And so I know that's really a broad brush, but I think that's why people, do drugs and come back to them. It makes them feel better. They're not feeling good out of life, and or life is just too stressful and they want to get numb to it. And I'm like, wow. I mean, we who turn to the Lord in all things, we know the power of God, not only to break these chains, but we know that not just the chain of addiction, but we know the power of God to break the chain of both numbness and pain. And oftentimes, I think if you look at a lot of believers, especially those who grew up were teenagers in the 70s and 80s and 90s, I think a lot of them went through drug phases. I remember meeting a lot of rabbis, Messianic rabbis at the MJA, and the majority of them are my age. And I believe the majority of them were all experimenting with drugs in the 70s and 80s, but they found God. And it might sound trite, but he's always one who can take away that urge, because he's greater than the high from any drug, of course. Anyway, let's get off my soapbox here.
Well, no, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And it seemed, my experience with the Lord is that it's given me purpose in life too. And I think that's one of the things that people are searching for.
Yeah.
And when the things that they think will give them purpose in life fail them, there's nothing there's where it comes in that I need something to make me feel alive.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing to our viewers. I don't know who's listening, how many are listening, but if you're struggling with this alone and you hide it, which is another hallmark of often of drug users, share it with somebody you trust.
Yeah.
Don't share the drug, share your struggle with it. Somebody you trust. And once you speak it out, you're just going to get another perspective on it, and you're going to get help that I know where the Lord is going to lead you to, person he's going to lead you to is going to be the choice of the Lord to help you kick this and finally get rid of it.
And give you purpose. Yeah.
What I found is that I believe the majority of the people that do any kind of drugs, knowing they're doing illegal drugs, they know that when they do it, it's going to change something, the way they feel in their body, how their brain thinks, all kinds of different things. I think it's escaping reality. Especially with the world in turmoil the way it is today, and everybody, even the younger generations, have been raised within the turmoil of not only the world governments and political things going on, but within families, because it causes the world stuff causes problems, and people want to escape that. That's like alcohol. If you ask most anybody that comes home after work and they pour my wife and I have said so many times watching TV shows or movies, brown liquid. We see somebody that's in the show and they got a little glass and they're pouring brown liquid into that glass. There was a time many years ago when television banned the use of alcohol within shows. And you just that's TV shows, not movies, but within TV shows. And it was gone for a long. You couldn't have commercials for alcohol or anything like that. And then, of course, as shows got away from the network broadcasting and started broadcasting shows on the internet, then all that was wide open. And like I said, we see it all the time of people pouring brown liquid into a small glass and drinking it. I mean, it's prevalent throughout shows and movies. And if you ask these people, not in the shows, but regular people that drink, I think the majority of your answers is well, it helps me to relax from all the day's stress. And they're not going to say it, but basically it puts them into a different reality. They go out of that world reality and into a safe zone because they are just there themselves. That's what, to me, causes people to become more addicted, because they justify what they're doing by something that is not justifiable. In other words, well, now I just found out that a friend of mine died. I'm all stressed out. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, but hey, I'm stressed out. And I know that my alcohol or my joint will relieve me of, all that pain. So now I'm doing it then, and I do it more often. And then I do it, because life is so hard. And, to me, I see that. On the flip side, knowing the Lord and the Lord replacing that drug, the alcohol or the drugs or whatever, when you go through a stressful time, talking to the Lord or talking to people that will uplift you takes the place of that alcohol or that drug. See, and that would be my message out there is that we three guys have proven it over and over and over. We don't need the alcohol and the drugs to take away our problems, because the Lord does it.
Yeah.
So, that's what I think is the majority of people do it. Just they've talked themselves into the fact that it relieves the pain and suffering of what we have to go through in the world, which is really not that bad. It's really not that bad. Man up and go through it. You don't have to resort to alcohol and drugs to make that
Well, I think in the West now it's become a lifestyle. And so what you have to do, you have to choose which lifestyle you want to do.
That's right.
I mean, how many times you see on television and in the movies, people just nonchalantly going and snorting up a line, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, no problem. It's a lifestyle.
Right. Very true. Very, very true. Yeah, buddy. Well, we have just solved the world drug problem. Oh my gosh. Isn't that amazing?
It's not us. It's the Lord that
Oh, yeah, of course.
is the answer.
Yeah, I would.
And when you say that, it's like, oh, but we have struggled. I know I have. I'm sure you two have. It's a struggle to find the Lord.
Mhm.
It just doesn't happen overnight because of the lifestyles that we lead, because of our family situations that we grew up in, because of the peer pressure that we've experienced. It's a struggle to find the Lord. And I don't want anybody that's watching to think, you just flip a switch and the Lord takes over. It's not that way.
Yep.
So, but he does help us through it.
Yeah. Finish that glass of brown liquid and roast that joint. Yeah.
Roll me another one.
Roll another one. We're going to start singing now.
Yeah.
Okay, we know the songs. Okay, I get it.
Let's get to the point. Roll another joint.
That's right.
So we've been there. It's not like we're not like virgin people. We've experienced it, and we've tried all kinds of different things to get away from it. And I think our testimony is the one true thing that will stick with you is your relationship, your lifestyle based upon God's righteousness.
Amen.
The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's righteousness.
That's right. Don't pick no drug god.
No.
All right. Good. I think we got through a topic there quicker than a whole show. All right. Another thing on my list that's changed in the past 70 years is the way people dress or don't dress. Do you remember what it was like to dress in high school and the way people dressed, and then as it got even swimming suits? You know, I mean, back in the 70s, 60s and 70s, when we when we were teenagers and moving through life, and the way people dressed, we just didn't think anything of it. It was more of when the way people dressed become less and less dressed. That was the big change.
It's the acceptability in the public eye.
Yeah.
I mean, we all remember, I forgot who the star was. It was either a Grammys or Academy Awards, but his girlfriend came in a dress that was basically transparent. And I don't get it. I mean, how can that even be acceptable on the TV? I stopped watching Grammys years ago. All I wanted to do was see who was going to win best song and for what. But and then it just became a bacchanalia, and it's like, I don't even want to see this anymore. But it's that
cleavage cuts on the dresses on so many shows that you see, the cleavage cut. It's like the whole front is wide open. Yeah. As long as you don't see the end results of those, then you can see the middle apparently is totally acceptable.
Yeah. It's the whole idea of modesty.
Yeah.
Modesty is basically going out the window. I mean, among believers, the majority of believers, they understand modesty. And so for people that don't know what modesty is, it's something that certainly the parents need to teach their kids,
Definitely, yeah.
and that look, they don't teach morals anymore in high schools, but modesty is something that should be talked about and taught. I just don't know why this subject is left out, even if they want to. Well, I guess for a society that's rejected God, it's you can do whatever you want. And nobody's there to judge.
Yeah. As
And if
long as
you're
not
judging other people, then don't.
That's right.
And so with no more judges, and certainly God as no judge, anything goes. And why be modest?
I think it's
social norms have changed their anyway, go ahead. Sorry, Larry.
I was going to say that the term that you use, judge, I've seen it all throughout the Bible. I didn't really realize a judge is simply a leader who is asked to make decisions. And what we have is a lack of leadership in terms of modesty. We've turned the leadership over to people that are like teenagers that are trying to go closer to the border of what morality is, and they're like trying to outdo each other. Those are the people that we're making our leaders now, and it's like everybody wants to, if it's okay for the leader to do that,
right.
And it's kind of like what I used to teach about the Greek gods. The Greek gods were terrible people, and I used to teach the kids that the Greeks made these gods up so that they had an excuse that, hey, this is the way the gods act. We can act that way too.
Uh-huh.
And it's basically what our moral leadership is today.
Uh-huh.
We look at the leaders and they're, like I said, a bunch of teenagers in their minds trying to test the boundaries, see how far they can get before they're stopped. And
that's it, before they're stopped.
Yeah, and no one's stopping them. So
it's accountability is really what it is. I mean, if you, like you're saying, if you can get away with just a little bit, then I got away with that. Now the next time I can get away with a little more and a little more and a little more. And it's funny because you can be in a mall setting and see a woman walking with very little clothes on or wide open in the front and all this kind of stuff, and nobody will hold her accountable. But you get in front of a little old lady that's standing there that doesn't put up with a God-fearing woman, and she'll walk up and say, you need to put some clothes on. You need to get, it's nobody holds anybody accountable for things they just get away with. The cops walk right past them, and it's like, okay, well, I mean, this is acceptable. I mean, they can do this. So, it's just, to me, it's the social norms of accountability have just changed in the past 70 years. There's nobody keeping anybody accountable anymore for the way they dress. David, your congregation, do you hold people accountable for modesty?
That's a really good question. When we have new believers that come in, especially, look, we basically deal with an older community. Maybe about half the people in our congregation are retired, and the other half are within 3 to 5, maybe 5 years to 10 years of retirement. So we're dealing with a group of people that are basically mostly over 50 years old. We don't have a lot of teenagers at all. We have some little kids, but of course they're modest. And so we don't really deal with it. But I do remember one time that, and look, more pressure is definitely on women than on men, because men, except for boys who are sagging their pants, men are just never accused of immodesty, hardly ever. And it's all of it's on the women. And so I don't want to see us become like Iran, where all the women are forced to wear burqas. But at the same time, I think if we're going to instill and reinstill modesty, it's going to start. It's going to start with the church, if you will, and worldwide. I mean, the body of Messiah, and we're going to have to do it in relationship, not with an iron rod. We had a young lady that came in. She was new in the Lord, on fire for the Lord, and she didn't realize that when she came in with I'll just say she had a nice figure, and she was wearing a tight sweater that had that low cleavage cut. And, she had a short skirt on as well, not real short, but she loved to dance, and she was on fire for the Lord, but she didn't yet know about modesty. All she knew was she was on fire for the Lord. And one of you said, when we first get to know the Lord, we have to learn about these things. And it's, and people shouldn't be taught with an iron rod, because then they're just never going to come back. They're going to feel shame. You need to develop a relationship with people who don't know about modesty. And the issue will come up because, the great majority of women, if they even, if they're wearing skirts, it's going to be below the knee all the time. And so, and they usually wear tops that kind of come up to here. And so we don't have a problem in our congregation, but an older woman came up to me and said, "You're an elder in this congregation." This was before I was a rabbi. She said, "You need to go have a talk with that girl. She's making a spectacle, and she's dancing up there, bouncing around, and nobody can keep their mind on the Lord." And I said, "Well, maybe the nobody should look somewhere else. She's new in the Lord, and she's only given her life to God in the last month or so. She's a guest here." And I said, now's not the time to have a talk with her about modesty. Look away, and if she comes back, develop a relationship with her, take her out to lunch, And anyway, I think things need to be handled kind of gently, the way the Lord would talk to people. Yeah. Anyway, it's
Well, I've had an experience. I was at one time the supervisor of the high school branch in a Christian high school, and we had several girls that were, in the opinion of the faculty, of the staff, were dressing immodestly.
The staff?
No. In the opinion of the staff.
Oh, okay.
The teenage girls. And as the supervisor, I was told that it's my responsibility to take them to task. And so I sat them down and told them, and they went home with that news. And the mother came in and just harangued me for bringing it up. And she happened to be a pastor's wife. And she was saying that the dress that I had a problem with, her daughter had borrowed from her. And I was like, okay, how do I deal with this? Yeah. And it's at that point that I said, okay, from now on, female things like that ought to be dealt with by females. And so I took the policy that, ladies, your responsibility is talk to the ladies and the girls about modesty. It's not up to elders or men to deal with that. It's your responsibility. But that was a shocking thing, and I'll never forget that.
That's a very good point. That look, mothers have always taught their daughters about it, and when their daughters aren't learning it from their mothers, it is going to have a much greater effect if they learn about it from a woman they might respect, and and certainly the woman could do it gently and not in a way that is meant to shame, although it might lead to that, which is not a bad thing for a little bit, but not to present it in a way that is shameful, but to present the it's almost like I think they need to present the goodness of what modesty is,
Hmm.
and how it can be good for your soul, and you're going to like it. You're going to like being modest if you just try it. And when you're thinking, is this modest enough, or is it too maybe too not immodest? Well, you've got your answer right there if you're even asking the question. So err on the side of modesty, and it's something that if it's taught in the home, I mean, we did have a young lady that went through, and she was raised to be modest, and she's always worn long skirts, and and just kind of covered up the waist up as well, and there was never an issue with modesty. you know some of the women will even wear shawls and tie up their hair as well. And so I think when modesty is taught, and it's taught the right way, it can become something a woman is kind of proud to do.
Yeah.
You don't want no 50-year-old man walking up to a 20-year-old girl and saying, "Oh boy, I sure like the way you're dressed there." It's you got a lot revealing there. I like that mini skirt and that small blouse you got on there. That won't teach them to to be modest. And I mean, some people think like that. You got to shock and awe them or whatever into it. But
Yeah.
it's Larry and I have both been to Sukkots where there are loads of people camping. I don't think you guys have ever done. You guys camp, but we go to places where there's 1,000 people, all camping and everything, and it's hard to regulate that type of thing. And especially you're camping, everything is at ease. It's not like going to church, where you dress up and go. When you're camping, you're wearing your everyday clothes and everything. And I can recall several instances, through the years of you got that many, 1,000 people, and you have to have people that can handle the situation, because it's always going to come up. It's always, especially teenage girls and girls in their early 20s and stuff, that just feel that it's right, that they're wearing what they're wearing.
Well, Mark, I know you have a daughter, and Larry, I don't know if you do, but
2 of them.
Okay, so did either of you, your daughters, have they ever been through an experience where, as young women do today, especially when they become teenagers, they become grown women, they sometimes they want to show off their figure and such. Did either of them ever have bad experiences with men being rude to them, and it really changed their outlook on how they dress? Did either of them ever have an experience like that?
They didn't share it with me. They may have shared it with my wife, but
Now, my daughter is a youth pastor and dresses extremely modest. I mean, she wants to be a good example for other women, and she is. And she's very good at what she does. So she's always been that way. My wife is the most modest person you'll ever meet, and anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, I was talking more about the ages of about 13, 14, 15.
Yeah, I don't remember
start understanding their power over boys in school.
Yeah.
And it's something they like that can be kind of addictive to them. And,
yeah.
In public school, I can see it as real heavy, but my daughter never. Well, she went real young. She went to public school for a couple of years, but mostly it was homeschooled or Christian school, so not as prominent as in public school. Oh my gosh, you guys have all that deal in public schools? Did
Well-
Catholic school? Did you have problems with?
In Catholic schools, because I taught for 12 years in the Catholic school, we have uniforms,
Right.
but there was always that rebellion against getting the skirts rolled up,
Sure.
getting them higher and higher, and you had to deal with that. Then I taught in a Christian school for 7 years, and we had a dress code. And like I told you, there was experiences in which I dealt with. Now in public school, I taught there for 22 years, and it went back and forth between they got to do wear whatever they wanted. Then we tried a uniform policy for like 7 years.
Public
And
school.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then got away from it started being not so strictly enforced. Yeah. And then the parents got involved in saying that the uniforms were too costly, and so they got rid of the uniforms, and then they went back to it like 5 years later. And it's like, but during the times when they didn't have the uniforms in the public schools, it was like these girls would spend hundreds of dollars on their outfits to come in, and to use the excuse that the uniforms, which were just a t-shirt and stuff like that, or a collared shirt, it was like that's ridiculous how the uniforms are costing too much. But it was like competition, and then getting stuff written on your shirts became the competition, which is part of modesty too. It's like double entendres being written on their t-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're right. Unless then the easiest time to teach was when we had uniforms.
Yeah, I think the big problem with us, I remember in school, and I taught public school for 37 years. That's the only schools I taught. The biggest problems is what kids had, what the t-shirts had printed on them.
Yeah.
So I do remember more than once, and this happened to boys too, where boys would come in with a woman in a very skimpy bikini on their t-shirt, and they were told that you have to turn it inside out, and if that doesn't cover it up, we'll have to cover it up with duct tape. And the boys had to adhere to this dress code as well when it came to printed stuff. But what might surprise you guys in our audience is that mostly nobody said anything. The kids are the best way of telling each other you're dressed immodestly. That would affect them. And kids did not talk about kids who were dressed immodestly, and they didn't shame the girls who wanted to dress modestly. Those girls were never shamed either. It was just like everybody's just kind of doing what they want, and nobody spoke badly about anybody. That's just kind of how it was. And the only ones who had really a say in the matter would be, we were told about the dress codes, about we couldn't have curse words on your t-shirt, or naked people on your t-shirt, stuff like that, or stuff that would push drugs on your t-shirt. That's another thing they didn't want on the t-shirts. That was the bigger problem than how tight it was or low cut it was. And the school did say no midriff showing for boys or girls. So the idea of showing any skin between the waistline and the bottom of the shirt, they couldn't do that.
Gosh, I'd have to get rid of half of my shirt.
Oh, God.
It's because your belly has grown too big.
It's got nothing to do with the size.
No, actually, it's because my belly's grown so big that I do show. My shirts do look like half shirts. They're so small, they're up over now. Terrible.
I'm glad we can laugh about it.
It really is. It's on the kids, but it's more on the adults.
Yeah.
I mean, over the past however many years of watching TVs and movies, how many times have you seen like family shows where the daughter is getting ready to school and the parents say, "Are you wearing that? No, you go up there and change." We've seen that over and over and over, all through TVs and movies. I was in a restaurant with my family years ago. This has got to be probably 30 years ago. And we were in a booth, and I looked over at another booth, and it was a husband and his wife and his two mid-teen daughters, 13, 14, maybe something like that, sitting across from them. And on the back of the guy's shirt, the father's shirt, was a dog on top of another dog, and it said, "Bury the bone."
Oh,
now, that father, his daughter saw that shirt. So if the parents are going to allow them, how does the school system battle that? Well, their parents let them dress like that.
Well, look, if the school can make the kids wear a uniform at gym, and kids would lose credit and not be allowed to participate if they didn't have the school issued gym uniform to participate. If they can do it for that, the school can pass a modesty clause, and I'm going to tell you, the great majority of parents would not complain. If the parents who don't like it, then put your kid in private school where they're going to wear a uniform.
Yeah.
If the schools did it and stuck to it, it would get done.
But what a mixed message.
Yeah. I understand
the poor kids.
But maybe the father didn't have any control or didn't care about what his daughters wore.
Well,
that father.
No.
When girls were told you go up and change, a lot of girls got this message and they would just stuff another outfit into their backpack or whatever. And then they would just change on the way to school.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of girls did that.
Yeah.
And wore what they wanted.
But the clinker is when you have parent conferences and the mothers come in and it's like, oh my goodness, no wonder the daughter is dressed the way she is. It's like, I'd have to excuse myself on a couple, there's something that I have to go do right now. So I'll have another teacher come in and talk with you. It's like, it's responsibility. And another thing that comes to my mind is when you object to the way someone is dressing, the response is always, well, it's your problem. And to me, what are you looking for? What are you looking at? I've got no problem with the way I'm dressing. It's your problem. And it gets back to the accountability. No one's being taught accountability again. So blame the other person for the way that you're acting or what you're doing.
Yeah, when we have people come up and read,
we get like 1 minute.
Oh, I just want to say, when we have people come up and read from the Torah, we have a dress code. I mean, we don't have to talk about a dress code much for just sitting in the pews. But when we have somebody reading from the Torah or participating in reading prayers from the Siddur, there is a dress code, and we let them know, and we've never had pushback. But then again, we're dealing with an over 50 crowd as well. And, women wear shawls, not talit over their head. They wear shawls. The men wear talit and kippahs and collared shirts. And you don't wear jeans when you're reading from the Torah. It's just a dress code we have, and we stick to it.
But even the Lord laid out a dress code when he was talking to the priests. And when they walked up steps, they had to have underwear on.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
the first, historically, the first underwear.
That's right. That's right.
You tell that to a kid in high school to say, well, I ain't no priest.
Well, we'll prove you wrong. All right. This has been great as always, but we've got to take a break here and bring in Rabbi David. So we'll be right back.
Amen.
My way's bad, my way is so bad. Your way's good, your way makes me glad. My way's bad, my way is so bad. Your way's good, your way makes me glad. Torah, Torah, Torah.
Amen. Amen. I'm Rabbi David Weiss of Malchut Chaim Messianic Congregation in Chesapeake, Virginia. And in the Parsha we have this week, on March the 7th in 2026, is Ki Tisa, when you take a census or when you do accounting. It really is not just doing a census as we know it here in our country of America, but it's really when you take a mustering of the fighting men. So the men would be numbered who were over 20, and I think under a certain age, maybe under the age of, possibly under the age of 60. And so when the census is taken, each of the men is to pay a ransom for his life. It says in Exodus 30:12, pay a ransom for his life to Adonai to avoid any breakout of plague among them during the time of the counting, of the mustering. Everyone subject to the census is to pay as an offering to Adonai 1/2 shekel. That's a fifth of an ounce of silver. Not really, it's probably worth about $1, $2 at most. By the standard of the sanctuary shekel, everyone over 20 years of age who is subject to the census is to give his offering to Adonai. We're talking about just the men here. The rich are not to give more, and the poor are not to give less than 1/2 shekel when giving Adonai's offering to atone for your lives. You are to take the atonement money from the people of Israel and use it for the service in the tent of meeting, so that it will be a reminder of the people of Israel before Adonai to atone for your lives. We have this idea of the paying the 1/2 shekel for atoning for their lives. So we have a very much of a double blessing with this 1/2 shekel that I think is both beautiful and kind of mysterious. Every one of the men who gives it over the age of 20, and I guess below the age of 60, every one of them is going to have to go to war, very possibly in their lives, against the enemies of Israel, the enemies of the Lord. And so this idea of the shekel, an atonement for their lives, you have to think, well, what kind of sin is it for that they need to be atoned for? And as people who are going to be part of Israel's fighting force, because God said to Israel when they came out of Egypt, you are going to be my army, my tzevaot. And when you are part of the army and you're going to go to war, you're very much going to have to take a life or hurt somebody badly in battle. And so we know what God says, that even when you kill somebody, when you murder somebody, not when you take a life defending yourself, and not when you take a life in war, is it tantamount to murder, where if you kill, you have to be killed. This is different. But God so sanctifies life, even the life which is precious of the person whose life you're going to have to take in war. I believe that God is saying even that life is precious. And so to atone for your lives, there is going to be an atonement that's necessary, and that's going to be the 1/2 shekel. But I believe that not only is the enemy's life precious, even though it has to be forfeit if they come against Israel, but it's even for your own life, because if I'm slain, maybe my 1/2 shekel might be even a ransom for my killer's soul. Maybe by me paying the 1/2 shekel, by me doing it, if my life is taken, which would be rare in the case of Israel because they won the majority of wars they fought, miraculously, I would add. But even if my life is taken, maybe it'll be so hard on the soul of the one who had to take it, that he will turn to the Lord. Maybe this paying the half shekel, his soul will be touched as well. But we find that, what was the half shekel used for? What did they do with these 600,000 pieces of silver coin? They melted them down and they made them into the foundation of the very Mishkan, the foundation of the tabernacle. And then the foundation had several pieces to it, but the silver was used in that regard. And then after the Mishkan, it was used for the maintenance of the temple, buying 2 lambs that were slaughtered each day at morning and at dusk. And so what we find is even the way the shekel would be used is a metaphor for a life being based in the foundation of the Lord. The Lord institutes the Mishkan. The Lord told us the design of the Mishkan, taken as a copy from the heavenly realm. And so the shekel becomes a metaphor not only for the preciousness of life, but also for the importance of the foundation of tabernacle life in the life of a person in any society. I want to bring my friends in here and just, ask them if you've read this many times, I'm sure, this half shekel. And I'm just kind of curious if you can add or accentuate any of the ideas I've brought. What have been some meaningful teachings about this half shekel that you might want to share, or something that the Lord just put on your heart?
Well, I want to say,
Go ahead. I don't have anything.
Be quiet, Mark.
No.
I want to say, David, that as usual, you brought out something that I was not aware of as many times as I've gone through the Torah year after year after year. And I credit you for that. The fact that the half shekel is going for their life, that makes total sense now. Before it was like kind of a mystery. What's the half shekel and why? But the idea that they might have to take someone's life, or even in self-defense, they'd be taking someone's life, that in the eyes of the Lord is being paid for because of the sanctity of life. It brings to mind right now, it just popped in my mind, what about all the abortions that are going on in our country? Who is going to pay for that? And it's incredible. And the fact that the shekels are being used for the Mishkan or the temple, and that's the place where you meet the Lord, and that's sacred space. So you're contributing, that life force is being contributed, or is contributing to the sacred space where you can meet the Lord. And it just opened up a whole new ideas about the half shekel and stuff. Why didn't anybody else tell me about that?
They probably don't care about it in the church. Maybe, I don't know, because the sanctuary is no more. Now we have Holy Spirit in our hearts. We don't need the sanctuary, right? Well, yeah. Look, the body is the sanctuary of the Lord. If you want to bring in the idea of the sanctuary, but even, look, did they have to pay the half shekel when there was no temple? No, they didn't. But I believe they still did. They brought in a half shekel. Mm-hmm. And look, it's Purim right now. We're celebrating the Jews' victory. I've been reading the book of Esther all my life, and I just, for some reason, I didn't realize that the Jews had to take 75,000 lives of the enemy that wanted to wipe them out. And now you have Purim occurring right when they're going after the enemy of Iran and Hezbollah at the same time. Well, what about the atoning for their lives? And they don't pay the half shekel anymore today. But I believe that the half shekel that was instituted by God, that's been paid generation after generation, I think it's still at work and still alive today. Even even because God is covering Israel. He's covered them in every war since 1948. Even as the IDF was established, Israel is. How do you explain that Israel has won all these wars? I'm not saying it's because of the shekel, but I'm saying the shekel that's been paid all those years when tabernacles were standing and temples were standing. I believe that it was a sign that Israel wanted to obey God regarding the shekel, and they really wanted a covering for their lives in war. And even today, it's making a difference. God is good.
That's good. Yeah. All right, Mark.
Well, I don't. The half shekel thing, I've heard teachings on it, but I don't remember this or specifics about it. My question, especially when I read it, I mean, I've read it several times and never really looked into it, is to pay a ransom for his life to avoid any breakout of plague among them during the time of the census. They have to pay a ransom. That's when I think of my definition of what a ransom is, as we use it in the 20th century, is I just don't get. I don't know how to apply. When I look up this, it says kofar is the word, the Hebrew word for it, and
Covering. Yeah.
Well, actually, it's a ph. The sounding is a ph.
Well, it's kof, pei, and resh, and it's the same root that's used in Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement. So ransom and atonement are interchangeable words here.
Ransom and atonement are interchangeable words.
Basically, they come from the same root, which is covering, which is the covering.
So why do I need to pay a ransom for my life?
Because you're a soldier in the army of Israel, and enemies are going to come at you, and you're going to be taking lives. And the ransom covers you for anything that might come up in your life as a soldier, where you might have to take a life. And so you're paying that ransom or that atonement ahead of time. God is saying life is so precious. You don't get a freebie. You can't celebrate killing somebody. You can't be bloodthirsty, but it's something that has to be done. Okay? So you're going to need an atonement ahead of time for when you have to go into battle. And it makes people think seriously. If God is telling me I have to pay an atonement and I haven't even killed somebody yet, what does that mean? Why do I need atoning for? Because as a soldier, it's likely it's going to happen, and you need to think seriously. You can't just go nuts as a soldier. You can't go in to a family that wants to give themselves up when you're clearing out of town, and you can't just gun them all down, and you have to have the spiritual sensibility in your very soul that life is precious, and don't take life needlessly. And if somebody wants to give their life up to you, unless the Lord says they're marked for destruction, you can't just take their life because you feel like it. It gives you a thrill.
Right. I see it. I see it. It's the difference of the culture back then and what they had to go through and us today. We just don't have a concept of having to be accountable for the lives we take, even in war. That's like Rambo's got a lot of atonement to do, a lot of ransoms to make. He killed a lot of people, but you see that, you just see that, and we don't even think about being accountable for what we've done or what we've would have to do there, because we don't kill anybody. We don't know. We don't even know how to relate.
we talked about drugs earlier, and I think in some ways violence can be a kind of a drug as well.
I
And when
agree.
people watch a lot of the rant movies with
Right.
between Stallone and Schwarzenegger and
Right.
James Bond and people
Right.
that just take life so
Yeah.
cavalierly, you know,
Right.
and that it's what we have raised is a bunch of people that think if I have to kill, it's a righteous thing to do. If I'm killing the bad guy, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But no, every life is precious, and even the life that you may have to take if you're defending your home. And so, you know, I have firearms at home, like 2/3 of America, and every time I might strap it on and go out with it, I pray, Lord, don't let me have to use this today. But if I
Yeah.
have to, please let me shoot straight and forgive me. That's the right choice and the right decision. It's a serious thing, and if anytime people can walk away, even if it causes them shame or ridicule, it's better to walk away than to have to even brandish a firearm.
Mm.
So, you know, I think our society certainly needs a better understanding. You know, yeah, we can buy a firearm, but we have to go through a lot to get a driver's license. Why don't we require that for people to have firearms as well? And believe me, I'm a Second Amendment supporter, but I think there should be an understanding of how to use it if your dad's not teaching you or your mom,
Right.
whatever. This kind of went on to a different direction, but you know, life is precious, and that's the direction it went in, I guess.
I have a tendency to take us off into rabbi trails.
Well, it's all relevant.
Well, I want to realize, you know, the culture of what they had to do at that time, you know, but trying to relate that culture to my own culture today is really hard to do sometimes. It's really hard to try to understand what they had to go through. I mean, if I were going to carry you know, say a pistol or something every time I walked out the door, I might want to stock up on a bunch of half shekels. And every time I walk out the door, give the Lord another half shekel and say, you know, I don't know what's going to happen today, but here's my atonement for whatever happens. You know, keep me safe and let me not use this. But if I do, here you go.
Yeah, the half shekel, you know, I don't think God just wanted them to just kind of flip it. Okay, here's the half shekel. Now let me go kill somebody.
Taking it back.
I think the idea of the half shekel is to get somebody to think about.
Right.
You're given a weapon. You're going to have to defend Israel. What is it? What should it mean to you? And I don't know if they had discussions about it, if they sat around the fire and talked about it and about the taking of life. I don't know if the priests were involved in instruction about how soldiers need to respect life, even though they may have to take it. But you know, I would hope those talks went on, but certainly in homes.
But that is good, though. It's one of those physical manifestations of a spiritual thing by literally touching and giving away. You stop owning it, but now the Lord owns it, and you physically see yourself doing that, puts that thought in our mind rather than just walking out the door and saying a quick prayer, oh Lord, I hope I don't have to use this today. But by seeing that, it makes it real. It makes it real. And there's so many things that in our lives we go through every day, just commonly what we go through every day. You know, we don't think about a lot of these things, and we need something to bring to remembrance that this may happen. I see it now. See, I get it. I understand. I couldn't see it before, though.
And the point that it's a half shekel for everybody. which means
Yeah.
in the eyes of the Lord, everybody's soul is equal.
Right.
You know,
That's
whether
good.
you're rich, give a half shekel. But I got no, just a half shekel. And whether you're poor, I'm gonna have to dig up some stuff, get it. But it's all the same. Everybody's the same in the Lord's eyes. That's hits me too in the heart there.
Maybe we can go back to the book of Esther for just a moment, since we're reading it this week in a lot of homes and
We got
synagogues.
like 6 minutes, 6
Okay,
minutes.
I can make this quick. So when we read that the Jews in all 127 provinces of the Empire of Persia had to kill 75,000 people, it wasn't just slaughtering people left and right. That many people were against the Jews, wanted to kill the Jews in all these provinces. I mean, it was going on back then, even as it is going on today, as people surrounding Israel still want to take out Israel and would do it if they had the armaments to do it. If they were a superior fighting force, they would still try to do it. Now, I believe God would protect them. But the fact that 75,000 people tried to kill Jewish people in those provinces because they got that edict that Haman, kind of tricked the king into doing, is amazing to me, that there was so much hatred of Jews back then.
And you look at a map of Iran today, and it's a pretty big country. But Persia it went all the way up to the Indus River, to the east, which is in India, and it went all the way up to the Euphrates, which included Iraq today and probably Jordan too. So it was a gigantic, massive empire, and to know that the Jews were all over the place like that. That's amazing too, that they had not support, but persuasive. They were able to take the Lord to all the different places of the Persian Empire. That historically, as a historian, that just blows my mind that they were all over the place.
Well,
interesting. In the looking up the Hebrew of a ransom, it says a cover, a village. It also says bitumen. Do you guys know what bitumen is?
It's like coal. I think like coal or something like tar.
Bitumen?
Like tar. It's a covering. It seals like creosote type stuff. See, that seals and covers and everything. I think that's pretty cool. Or it also says the henna plant. And I looked that up. That's just a plant that is medicinal. So it covers it. It helps. If you cover a wound with the henna plant, it will cover it and it will heal it up. So that's kind of interesting too. I mean, if you're looking at the word or the meanings for the word ransom, that helps to understand. A village, that's what I don't. You could use the word for a village. That I don't.
That's with different vowels, though.
That's what?
The word for this village is you're using different vowels.
How's that?
Well, the kafir is different from kufr.
Okay.
So
all I know is that it's in the description.
Yeah, it's the same three consonants, but different vowels.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I guess we could randomly say that, a village should cover you. You're part of a village, and that, being a part of a village, the people of the village help each other out. I don't know,
Yeah.
I can come up with all kinds of stuff if you want me to. But there we go. Okay, we got to go here in a couple of minutes. You want to wind all this up for us, Rabbi?
Wow, just to continue to pray for Israel. We know that. I mean, look, this is an easy audience to preach to, but continue to pray for Israel, and not only that they would win every battle they have to fight, but that they would take life as precious as well, even when they have to take life, that it is setting some people free. Many people are being set free in Iran by what we're doing, and just if we have to drop bombs and missiles, let it be accurate and let it take out the enemies of Israel and America.
Yes.
So anyway,
yeah,
that's it.
That's exactly right.
Well, thank you, David.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, really good. Really good. All right. Well, I guess we'll see everybody next week. Next week. I do have a doctor's appointment, but it's in the afternoon. So we do have a show next week. So God bless everybody, and Shavua Tov. And
see you later.
And, have a great week, all that good stuff. All right. All right. We'll see you next week. God bless you.
Shalom, shalom.
I'm always bad.
If you missed today's show or want to watch it again or want to tell someone where they can watch this episode, go to lambnetwork.tv, where you will find this show and all other live Lamb Show archives in the on-demand section of the website. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to tell somebody about the Messianic Lamb Network.
They should be white as snow, white as snow, white wool.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.
White as snow, white as snow.